Mr. Ferdinand Nikolla is a peace and security expert from Pristina. Formerly, he was a political advisor of the Minister of Internal Affairs of Republic of Kosovo. Currently, Mr. Nikolla leads the Institute for Peace and Security in Pristina. We're discussing the situation in Kosovo, where on Sunday, 24th of September, an armed group of Serbian extremists exchanged heavy fire with the Kosovo Special Police. One police officer is killed and 3 wounded, 3 attackers were killed, and about a dozen are arrested. Dear Mr. Nikolla, welcome to Civil's media platform, and let's begin the interview. What is your comment on the latest security incident in Kosovo? What actually happened?
Hello, Mr. Darala, and hello to everyone watching Civil Media. It is my pleasure to be your guest today. You have very accurately and rightly summarized in your sentence what happened yesterday. And yesterday was a very alarming day for Kosovo. Kosovo police was attacked by a terrorist group, and as a consequence, as you also mentioned, a police officer was killed. This attack comes at a time of continuous tension in the north of Kosovo, and also continuous tension between Kosovo and Serbia. And as you know, Kosovo and Serbia are parties in the negotiations, in the dialogue. But yet, what happened yesterday was unprecedented attack against the security, against Kosovo institutions. Yesterday, developments were serious because they continued, and the fighting continued, as we all know. This is like this is the summary of what happened. But I think what is interesting are the elements of if we try to decouple a little bit more the situation. I'm sure you'll have other questions to follow on that.
Absolutely, yes, indeed. I think it's self-understanding to ask about your assessment of the Kosovo police and, of course, the one of the international mission of KFOR. What is your assessment of their reaction? How was the whole operation executed, and what are the main takeouts from this operation?
Also, just to mention, to add, I think on the first point, we have seen yesterday that there were members of this terrorist group. They were very heavily armed. They had all the equipment and logistics to commit a serious terrorist attack, which they committed. But thanks to the swift response from the Kosovo police, the attack, let's say, was not fully completed, because what we can tell from how this was planned and how it was executed, we could have seen even more casualties. So, but thanks to the swift response by the Kosovo police, this attack was stopped. The operation was stopped. Yes, with victims, of course. But it was stopped, and I think it is important to emphasize the coordination also with KFOR and with EULEX was done effectively. We know that Kosovo police is ready and capable of providing safety and security in the north, of defending and protecting territorial integrity. And this was also demonstrated in yesterday's response by the Kosovo police, and it does send serious message to the criminal groups and organizations in the north, operating in the north, and coming potentially from Serbia, that this is what they will face. They will face a strong response from the Kosovo police, and those acts will not be tolerated.
We heard also the Serbian president Vučić, who said that this was a response of the Serbian people to the terror that they're experiencing in Kosovo. What do you think about this?
Absolutely, I think it's important to go one step back and read some statements from President Vučić in the past. He was kind of foreseeing such tensions and attack in some of his statements. He was constantly sending messages that in the north there might be de-escalation, there might be conflict. And the other fact is that these attackers have arrived and have entered Kosovo territory from Serbia, which one could ask, how come none of this was surveilled, none of this was stopped, none of this was monitored by the Serbian side? So this really shows how the information, the propaganda that he's using now is absolutely how to say. It is a propaganda. It's not true. Basically, they didn't play at all a constructive role, but they instilled and backed actually this operation.
Well, of course, on the other side, there are accusations on the account of the Kosovo Prime Minister Kurti, who, according to the other side, let's say, is provoking this kind of situation, and of course this war of words will go on, I believe. Do you have any recommendation? Maybe the Kosovo government maybe could have done, or the Prime Minister Kurti could have done more in order to prevent this kind of developments?
It is well-known fact that the dialogue is not going very well. There are huge challenges in Brussels, despite the calls from international community, from EU and US, for the parties to sit and find durable and sustainable solution. So I think, yes, in this regard, definitely Prime Minister of Kosovo, Prime Minister Kurti and President Vučić have the ultimate responsibility to find an everlasting solution for the tensions, both in the north, but also in between Kosovo and Serbia. International community has been determined and has been very seriously calling for the parties to show more readiness for the implementation of the agreements, for the German-Frank plan, and I think yes, in that regards, I expect, and my recommendation would be yes, for the leaders to sit and find solutions so that we don't have more situations like this or victims in the future. And it is in their responsibilities to really find the will and find the courage to sit and pave a new way, pave a new picture for not only for the people living in Kosovo and Serbia, but also a more prosperous future for the Balkans. And I think international community here can also play a greater role because in a sense of showing greater prospects for Euro-Atlantic integration. The Western Balkans have to prosper much faster and more and with more solid steps in that Euro integration agenda. Because separately and being in the margins of Europe, this is what you can expect from the Balkans.
Yeah, thank you, and let's hope for the leaders to hear these words of recommendations and how to proceed. However, back to the situation in Kosovo, some reports say that the Wagner mercenary group is involved in yesterday's attack. What do we know so far about the Wagner group involvement in Kosovo in general or in yesterday's unrest incident?
It's important to emphasize that the north of Kosovo, northern municipalities have always been like a shelter for criminal gangs and terrorist groups. You know that Kosovo government has declared Nacionalna Zaštita as a terrorist organization this year, and there are steps to ensure sovereignty and control of the northern part, but making sure that they are creating safe and secure environment for citizens, and this was, I think, a problem for years for the groups, armed groups and criminal groups that are involved in organized crime and corruption to accept such an approach from the Kosovo government and Kosovo institutions. And this is where the tension continues to rise. As for the Wagner, we know that the police has arrested 3 of the gunmen and has killed and has arrested 3 of them and 6 of them, and we have to see what the investigations have to show us about the specific question you asked, but whether there was an involvement of Wagner group or Wagner supporters or mercenaries. What we know for sure is that the operation had lots of characteristics of how mercenary groups operate. One of them being Wagner. So this we know, but the information, we have to wait a little bit more to really speak accurately about potential involvement of Wagner terrorist group in this particular case.
Yeah, well, so we saw the message of Radomir Popucha, who has been involved in the war in Ukraine on the Russian side, who after the news that he was killed in the action, he popped out with a video saying "I'm alive" and so on. We've seen many other symptoms of the involvement of not only Wagner Group in the field, but also the serious involvement of Russia, of Kremlin in the affairs between Kosovo and Serbia. What is your assessment of the Russian involvement in this particular incident, or in a wider context in the Kosovo-Serbian relations?
Well, we know that Serbia is the strongest ally of Russia, not only in the Balkans, but in Europe. And it continues to be so. It is the only country that hasn't introduced sanctions against Russia. So there is an open channel of communication and of collaboration. Kosovo institutions have faced difficulties in the north for many years because of the presence of illegal illegal groups, criminal groups, organized crime, and members of different terrorist organizations. So, this is why I think the approach and the dynamic which the Kosovo institutions are working in the north shows that they are increasing their present. They are increasing their vigilance, and they are showing greater commitment to control and to make sure that the north doesn't become a hub for criminal and terrorist organizations, including Wagner. Russian influence in the north has always been, obvious. We've had last year even high officials from the Russian embassy coming closer to the border with Kosovo and encouraging the soldiers and police from the Serbian side to escalate the situation, which was tense anyways. So we do understand a very dangerous role that Russia plays in this regard, in this game.
Yes. Back to the incident, we've seen that the armed group has been using the monastery Banjsko in Zvecani. What is the involvement of the Serbian Church in this matter, in this incident? What is the role of this monument, so to speak, and as well as a venue where Serbian Church has its people? What was this?
I can say that in this particular case, it is unfortunate that terrorists used the monastery and barricaded themselves within it and were shooting at police from there or from the surroundings of the monastery. Monastery in this case was used as a shelter from these gunmen. One dimension I think important there is that this could have very easily escalated even more, because I believe the way that this was planned was to create another provocation, very heavy provocation, and show an image to the world that Kosovo police is attacking monastery, and this could have triggered more violence. I mean, very easily local Serbs could have mobilized themselves and say, okay, we want to protect the monastery. But thanks to the professionalism, I think, from the police and international allies that have intervened in this case, that was prevented. Another major violent event was prevented. As for the involvement, I think it's we know, and there are still statements, including from the most recent one from the British MP about allegedly, monasteries being used for storing weapons. But this has to be further investigated, and I think we have to see what is the proof there. But again, in this particular case, I can surely say that monastery was misused, and it was unfortunate for the monastery and for the pilgrims who were doing the services there at that particular time.
So the Serbian Church officially doesn't have to do anything with this operation of storing weapons and ammunition and equipment there. It's just an abuse of the armed group that used the monastery also in political sense. But no Serbian church, Orthodox Church involvement in this particular matter.
And I'm speaking here what I can read from the official news and the statements from the ministry, from the police. So these are I haven't seen any evidence that does infiltrate church in this particular case, and I am reading only the facts that are circulating as we speak.
Mr. Nikolla, final question. What is to be done in this matter? You already spoke of what needs to be done, that the two leaders of the two countries need to sit down and pave the way to progress of the Western Balkans. But also there are many other stakeholders as well as decision makers in other areas and sectors of the society, such as media, such as civil society, experts, academia, and so on. What is to be done in, let's say, bullet points? From these stakeholders in the society, not only in Kosovo or Serbia, but also in the region?
So I mean, from the Kosovo police perspective, I think they should continue to fully operate and establish sovereignty in the north of Kosovo. There has to be safety and order for all citizens living in the north. They have to be more vigilant and prepare to react should similar situations be repeated. I think international community must warn Serbia and should introduce sanctions for seriously violating territorial sovereignty of Kosovo in this case. And the last point, which connects again to the point we started this conversation, there is no other way but finding a durable, a sustainable solution for safety between Kosovo and Serbia. The parties should resume the tables and the talks and create a new perspective for people. It's important now to have readiness from Serbia to act and those criminals have to be brought to justice. Those that are in Kosovo, but also we understand that there are others who escaped and are currently in territory of Serbia. So they have to play their part and show and demonstrate that that they are not, let's say, backing such criminal and terrorist acts in Kosovo. people have to live without fear. And it's important to emphasize this. There is tension in the north. People are scared and people are afraid. Again, Serbia has a major role to play in preventing and withholding themselves from acts as this one that happened yesterday in Kosovo.
Mr. Ferdinand Nikolla, expert in peace and security from the Institute of Peace and Security, Pristina. Thank you very much for this interview. And we will continue covering this situation and the development of the situation.
Mr. Darala, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me on. All the best.